Hey, it's Brennan, and here we are for the final lap guide with the 3 new British DLC tracks. Today we're at Snetterton, coming out the final corner. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the lap. I'm in the Ferrari Gt3 Evo today, and the only major setup adjustments I made for this thing was probably the front bump stop range. I increased that a bit, feels a bit better. First corner, we're going to look for the final 2 boards on the left. We're going to brake between them, maybe a little bit closer to the first one, but somewhere in the middle. It's a fast first corner. We're going to double apex it, coming near the curb at the start of the corner. Then we're going to coast a little bit, and around about mid-corner, we're going to pick up the throttle again. And then at the end of the corner, we're going to come back to the curb, which we'll see in a second. Here we go. But you want to look towards the inside where the curb is. The curb actually steps up a bit. You don't want to hit that. The car will bounce up and end your lap, probably. You won't want to hit that. We're looking at the number 2 board for turn 2. And we're going to brake just before that into the heavy braking zone of the hairpin we're going to enter. Don't really go onto that curb. It sort of pulls the car around, gives you a bad exit. Stay around the white line and then use that curb, that concrete on exit. For this turn, it's a bit of a weird one. You could probably stay in 3rd gear, but I shifted down to 2nd. Brake just before those 2 signs. Carry as much speed as you can through here, keeping narrow though. Don't accelerate too early, you'll go off and invalidate your lap. But you do want to use a bit of this concrete on the exit, but it's very bumpy. I don't like using it, but it does help if you get it right. To enter this hairpin, there is the number 1 board and the number 2 board. You're going to brake about halfway between them, or just before that rub it in line on the track, if the track's rub it in. And you want to have a late apex here, curl it around, and just after that pole, that's about where your apex really is. I don't get this perfect coming out of here. I get a little bit slippy and sideways. I probably could have straightened the car up a little bit first before getting the throttle down. But you can use the throttle, depending on what car you're in, you can use the throttle to help rotate out of the corner. I did that a little bit. This one, you don't use a lot of the brake. You only use about half brake, and you use it very quickly. Then you coast through here. Don't go too much. You can use the curb, but don't go into that grassy bit. You'll get flicked up. And on here, you can, same as that one corner before, you can use a little bit of the concrete, but it's extremely bumpy and the car doesn't like it. Here we go, we're going to brake alongside those signs, or maybe just a touch after it. And this corner, we don't have any issues of having a bumpy car going over the curb. So use quite a lot of this curb, just don't go too far over the white line, because that will be invalid. And using the throttle a little bit to help rotate out of this corner, but don't get too much oversteer, because you'll have a terrible exit that way. I get away with it here, fairly smooth, and then back to the outside of the track where the end of this green stuff is. It's going to be your braking point. You don't want to use too much brake here as well, just a quick nip of the brakes. And then throw it in with a lot of speed, let the front of the car grip up again. You're going to have a late apex again, and you don't want to get the rear slipping out too much on this corner, because it'll cost you your exit speed. I get a little bit sideways there, but thankfully it wasn't too bad, so I'll get away with it. Don't really go into the green stuff on the exit there, it's quite bumpy. So we're on the second long straight of the track now, coming up to one of the trickiest sections of the track. It's the final sector. On the number 1 board, we can see there, we're going to brake a little bit after that and start angling towards the corner. So brake after that, and here you're going to be hard on the brakes. I'm going to slow it down a little bit here. You're going to lift off the brakes as you turn where that curb begins. So you're hard on the brakes now in a straight line. And then as you turn for this curb, you're going to lift off, and then as you straighten up again, you're hard on the brakes, slowing the car down a little bit more. Now here, do not touch the sausage curb, you will mess up your lap. Avoid it, but get close to it. And have a late apex, straightening up the corner as early as you can, getting the throttle on. You can use a little bit of this exit here. Don't stay out here for too long. Back onto the track, and this one you don't have to brake for. Somewhere around where you start turning in, you're going to lift off, let it grip up, and towards the end of that little curb you saw on the inside, you start getting on the throttle again. For this long right-hander here, it's really hard to tell you where to lift, but I'd say when the front end's fully loaded, and when you're ready at apex, start lifting off. And in the mid-corner, you want to just touch the throttle a little bit to stop you from getting to the inside too early. Then on this double pole thingy here, third from the last one, you're going to hit the brakes and keep to the right, and then give yourself a nice line for this final turn. You don't really want to use a sausage curb, but it doesn't affect you as bad as that last one. Using all the concrete on the exit here, well, don't really go any wider than that. It'll probably be invalid. But I got away with it there, coming out the final corner, and that's a lap at Snetterton. Could have been better. I mean, this is a really, really hard track to get right, honestly. I thought it would be a bit easier. But, yeah. No, it's a fun track. It's just not easy. Mainly because of those really bumpy curbs. Anyway, I'll let you watch this lap without me talking, but stick around. After this lap, I'll show you the pit entrance guide, show you where to brake there, and that'll be the end of this guide. And then we'll have to wait a few months and see if the next track... Well, I don't know what the next track will be on ACC, but we'll see in probably a few months. So... we'll see you at the end of this lap, and I'll tell you where to brake for the pit stop. Okay, so that was that lap again. Now we're going to look at the pit stop. So we're going to take the final corner as per normal. Then we're going to pull off to the right where the pit entry lane opens up. And then there's a little bit of an off-road, like a very tiny one, just sitting there on the right. You're going to brake right at the end of that, just after the concrete ends, and then you're hard on the brakes. And that should be 50 kilometers per hour at the line. So I think that's the last thing I need to say for today. I probably missed some minor details here and there. So if you want to know anything, please ask in the comments. I'll try to reply. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon.